Imagine yourself in an ancient world where the Nile and Euphrates rivers were not just sources of life, but arteries of great civilizations. On the horizon rise majestic pyramids, their shining stones reflecting sunlight as if the gods themselves had pointed to their construction. In Babylon, the sound of water flows through incredible multi-tiered structures. The statue of Zeus towers so grandly that it seems its smile brings time to life. This world was full of mysteries, ambitions, and an endless thirst to leave a mark on history. The seven wonders of the world are not just structures. They are the embodiment of human genius, ambition, and belief in the immortality of the human spirit. It's as if they declared, "Look at what we are capable of. We will never be forgotten." This list, passed down from the depths of centuries, became a symbol of humanity's indomitable will and its ability to overcome the impossible. But how did the idea of selecting exactly seven wonders come about? Its roots go back to antiquity, when philosophers, travelers, and scholars ruled the intellectual world and sought to classify and understand everything around them. Herodotus, known as the father of history, and his followers were among the first to describe the great creations of their time. However, the final list was formed a bit later, thanks to the work of Callimachus of Cyrene, a librarian at the Library of Alexandria. Why the number 7? In the ancient world, it was considered sacred, symbolizing completeness and perfection. These wonders emerged in an era when civilizations reached unprecedented heights in architecture, engineering, and art. Egyptian pharaohs, Babylonian kings, and Greek tyrants used their wealth to build structures meant to last through the ages. But it's important to remember they weren't built just for beauty. The pyramids, for example, embodied divine grandeur worshipped by millions. The world around them was completely different than today. Imagine caravans crossing endless desert sands to deliver precious materials for construction, or sailors conquering stormy seas, all for the sake of becoming part of history. These wonders show how far humans can go when driven by dreams and a desire for eternal glory. The seven wonders of the world are a bridge between the past and the present. They not only tell the Great Pyramid of Khufu. Among the sands and under the scorching sun of the desert rises a monumental structure that still amazes with its grandeur, the Great Pyramid. It is the only one of the seven wonders of the ancient world that has survived to this day. The pyramid was built around 2560 BCE during the reign of Pharaoh Khufu, Cheops. This structure, almost 147 meters high, was the tallest in the world for thousands of years. Today it's slightly shorter due to the loss of its outer casing stones, but remains a symbol of the genius and ambition of ancient Egyptian civilization. Its construction process remains a true mystery. Around 2.3 million stone blocks were used, with a total estimated weight of 6 million tons. Each block weighed between 2.5 and 80 tons, depending on its size. How did the ancient Egyptians move such massive stones? Scholars believe they used sleds sliding over wet sand to reduce friction. Recent discoveries show that Egyptians built special canals and platforms to deliver stone blocks directly to the construction site. The pyramid was once covered in highly polished white limestone that reflected sunlight, making it shine like a beacon in the desert. Unfortunately, this covering has almost completely disappeared, but once made, the pyramid truly unforgettable. The construction techniques are still debated. Some believe straight ramps were used and extended as the pyramid rose. Others are sure that spiral ramps or complex lever systems were employed. Regardless of the method, it was an engineering marvel that still inspires awe today. But the pyramid was not just an engineering project. It had deep spiritual significance. Pharaoh Khufu was considered a divine intermediary between earth and sky, and the pyramid was his path to eternity. The central burial chamber, carved from granite, lay deep within the pyramid. It was guarded by complex passageways and massive stone plugs meant to protect the tomb from robbers. Contrary to long-standing myths, recent excavations have shown that many of the workers were skilled craftsmen, not slaves. They lived in nearby villages with access to food, water, and even medical care, enabling them to perform this incredibly hard work. The precision of the pyramid's design is astonishing. Its sides are nearly perfectly aligned with the cardinal points, and its base is leveled with remarkable accuracy. To create a flat foundation, the Egyptians likely used water to level the surface. Their organizational and technical skills were far ahead of their time. Theories about the construction methods continue. Spiral ramps may have allowed for gradual elevation without steep inclines. Blocks were placed on sleds, and workers dragged them. This labor-intensive but effective system made it possible to lift massive stones over 140 meters high. Granite, particularly challenging to work with, was polished to perfection using copper tools, sand, and water. The internal chambers of the pyramid show extraordinary craftsmanship. Above the burial chamber, the Egyptians constructed relieving chambers to redistribute the pressure of the massive structure, demonstrating a sophisticated understanding of physics and load-bearing architecture. Beyond its engineering brilliance, the Great Pyramid is shrouded in myths and mysteries that have intrigued people for millennia. One popular theory suggests the pyramid is not just a tomb, but a device with special energy properties. Some believe it was designed to generate energy, with its shape and orientation having specific significance. For example, some find the golden ratio in its proportions, a mathematical harmony found in nature and art, suggesting that ancient Egyptians possessed lost knowledge. Another mystery is the lack of traditional decorations inside the pyramid. No depictions of gods, no scenes of the afterlife, no prayers to the pharaoh, which raises questions about its intended use. Some even speculate that the pyramid was never completed internally or had a unique ritual function. More speculative theories propose extraterrestrial involvement due to the precision of the stonework and the complexity of transport and construction. While lacking scientific evidence, these theories add to the pyramid's aura of mystery and allure. In the 19th century, British engineer Howard Vyse discovered several relieving chambers above the King's Chamber. These spaces were likely used to prevent the ceiling from collapsing under the immense weight. Modern scanning technologies have revealed even more hidden voids, one of which is a large chamber above the Grand Gallery. Its purpose remains unknown, possibly another relieving chamber, a hidden room, or something else entirely. Legends also surround the supposed treasure of Khufu. Ancient tales say he was buried with immense riches, gold, jewels, rare artifacts. But no such treasure has ever been found. Some believe the pyramid was looted in antiquity. Others think secret chambers with treasures remain undiscovered. The pyramid's connection to astronomy is another profound enigma. Some researchers claim that the three pyramids of Giza mirror the stars of Orion's belt. Studies show that the Egyptians pay great attention to the stars. Ventilation shafts within the Great Pyramid align with stars like Sirius and El-Natak, further reinforcing the celestial link. Many mysteries of the pyramid are tied to Pharaoh Khufu himself. Historians still debate whether he was a cruel despot who forced thousands. Finally, one of the most exciting legends suggests that the Great Pyramid holds ancient secrets, hidden texts or artifacts revealing lost knowledge of early civilizations. The Great Pyramid of Khufu remains not only a masterpiece of architecture, but also a symbol of humanity's relentless pursuit of the unknown. Every new discovery brings more questions, making it an eternal enigma that continues to inspire researchers. Now, after exploring the mysteries and engineering feats of the Great Pyramid of Khufu, we move on to a completely different world. A green oasis that supposedly rose among the sands of ancient Babylon. The creation of the statue of Zeus at Olympia became one of the most complex and ambitious projects of antiquity, showcasing the incredible skill of ancient Greek sculptors. Phidias, a renowned master of his time, employed unique artistic and engineering techniques to create not just a statue, but an image that inspired awe and reminded viewers of Zeus's divine power. The core of the sculpture was made of wood, which served as a skeleton for attaching other materials. Special inserts and joints treated with moisture-resistant compounds were used to reinforce the structure. This framework was hidden beneath layers of gold and ivory, designed to mimic the glow and shine of human skin. To add brilliance and splendor to Zeus's garments, the finest gold leaf was used. This material symbolized divine radiance, and every detail of his armor, sandals, and cloak was decorated with intricate ornaments that enhanced the sense of wealth and power. Scenes from mythology, including the battle between gods and titans, emphasized Zeus's victorious nature. Zeus's throne was not merely a base, but an independent work of art. It was inlaid with precious stones, and on the backrest and armrests, Phidias carved mythological images, symbols of power such as the eagle and lightning bolt, the attributes of Zeus himself. Each carving was not just decorative, but told a story, connecting Zeus to his role as the supreme god. The details of the statue highlighted its grandeur. The lighting and the figure of Nike in Zeus's hand were so delicate and detailed that they were considered a separate work of art. The scepter Zeus held in his other hand was adorned with emeralds. Light falling through the windows was carefully planned to illuminate the figure of Zeus in a way that made him appear radiant and almost alive. This effect was enhanced by the reflection of light from the gold and ivory surfaces, creating a mystical atmosphere. Phidias's workshop in Olympia, where the statue was created, was equipped with the most advanced technology of the time. The best craftsmen worked there, processing metal, ivory, and wood. The remnants of molds and tools found in the workshop show how labor-intensive and precise the creation process was. The history of the statue of Zeus at Olympia ended tragically and remains a mystery that researchers continue to investigate. This masterpiece of ancient art, created to glorify the supreme god of the Greeks, inspired awe for centuries, but eventually disappeared. leaving only memories and legends. For several centuries, the statue adorned the temple in Olympia, attracting pilgrims from across Greece and the Mediterranean. It was not only a religious object, but also a symbol of cultural greatness. However, with the decline of the Olympic Games and the ban on pagan rituals in 394 AD by Emperor Theodosius I, the Temple of Zeus lost its significance. Over time, its structure began to decay, leaving the statue without proper protection. The fate of the statue remains a subject of debate. One theory suggests that in the 5th century AD, the statue was moved to Constantinople, the capital of the Eastern Roman Empire, where it was placed in a palace to continue inspiring people with its beauty and grandeur. However, in 475 AD, a major fire in Constantinople destroyed many buildings and treasures, likely including the statue of Zeus. Other researchers propose that the statue remained in Olympia and was destroyed by natural disasters such as earthquakes, which frequently struck the region and damaged the Temple of Zeus and its surroundings. If the statue stayed in its original location, it may have been damaged or destroyed under the temple's ruins. Another version suggests that the statue was dismantled by Christian fanatics who sought to destroy symbols of pagan religion in late antiquity. The gold and ivory used in its construction could have been repurposed, which may have contributed to its disappearance. Archaeological finds in Phidias's workshop where the statue was made allow for the reconstruction of some details of its appearance and production techniques. However, no physical fragments of the statue itself have ever been found, making it one of the greatest losses of cultural heritage. Today, only the ruins of the Temple of Zeus in Olympia remain, which once housed this majestic sculpture. Still, its memory lives on through ancient texts, descriptions by early travelers, and modern artistic reconstructions. The statue's disappearance has become a symbol of how even the greatest works of art can be lost to time, leaving behind only memories and inspiration for future generations.
The chariot symbolized the triumph and grandeur of Mausolus. Driven by Mausolus himself, it was an expression of his power and immortality, as if he were embarking on an eternal journey. The sculptural decoration of the mausoleum deserves special admiration. 4 famous sculptors worked on different sides of the building, creating scenes that reflected not only the life of Mausolus and Artemisia, but also their cultural legacy. Among the most well-known depictions were battles of the Amazons, sea scenes, and mythological heroes and gods. Each side of the mausoleum had a unique style that showcased the artist's skill and individuality. The statues of Mausolus and Artemisia were life-sized and placed atop the mausoleum, emphasizing their roles as rulers worthy of reverence. The details of the sculptures, folds of clothing, facial expressions, and dynamic poses demonstrated outstanding artistry. Although the mausoleum has long been destroyed, parts of this magnificent structure survived and provide a glimpse of its former grandeur. Thanks to these finds, archaeologists and historians can understand how the tomb was constructed and appreciate the craftsmanship of ancient architects and sculptors. Among the most valuable surviving fragments are parts of sculptural compositions uncovered during excavations and now preserved in the British Museum in London. These include relief panels depicting battles with Amazons, maritime scenes, and mythical creatures. These details not only showcase the artistic excellence of the era, but also reveal the cultural context in which the mausoleum was created. They convey the power and might of King Mausolus and his court, and illustrate how highly themes of war and heroism were valued at the time. Particularly significant are fragments of columns and architectural elements that retained traces of paint and carvings. These confirm that the mausoleum combined multiple styles: Greek, Carian, and Persian. For example, preserved Ionic capitals indicate classical Greek influence, while certain decorative motifs reflect Persian aesthetics. This underscores Halicarnassus's role as a cultural crossroads between East and West. There is also evidence of a pyramidal roof. A fragment, believed to be part of the roof, demonstrates the ambitious vision to place a massive pyramid above the colonnade, crowned by a sculpted chariot. Another important source of information about the mausoleum is written accounts from ancient authors like Vitruvius and Pliny the Elder, as well as later chronicles and travelers' notes. Combined with archaeological discoveries, they allow the mausoleum's general appearance to be reconstructed and help explain the role it played in the life of Halicarnassus.
Together, the surviving fragments and historical descriptions form a complete picture of the mausoleum as a masterpiece of art and engineering. They show the exceptional skill of ancient architects and sculptors and demonstrate the tomb's influence on Mediterranean architectural development. The mausoleum became not only a monument to King Mausolus, but also a powerful testament to the cultural diversity and creative genius of the ancient world. After the mausoleum at Halicarnassus, we turn to the sunny island of Rhodes, home to another of the ancient wonders. The Colossus of Rhodes, a monument in honor of the sun god Helios, became a symbol of courage and strength, inspiring not only the island's inhabitants, but the entire ancient world. Situated in the heart of the Aegean Sea, Rhodes was known for its strategic position and naval power. Following a siege by Demetrius of Cyprus, the people of Rhodes defended their city, becoming a symbol of resilience and determination. After Demetrius's defeat, he abandoned his siege equipment, which became trophies for the victors. The citizens decided to immortalize their victory and thank Helios, whom they considered their protector. The siege weapons were sold, and the proceeds funded the creation of the Colossus of Rhodes. The statue was meant not only to emphasize the grandeur and independence of Rhodes, but also to send a message to the world about the island's strength and unity. The sculptor Keres of Lindos led the project. According to legend, it took 12 years to build. The statue stood about 33 meters tall, making it one of the tallest structures in the ancient world. It depicted the sun god Helios in a proud stance, his face turned toward the sea, with a crown of rays on his head symbolizing his divine light. In one hand, Helios held a torch to guide sailors, and his presence evoked reverence and confidence in the island's protection. There is a popular myth that the Colossus stood at the harbor's entrance, with ships passing between its legs, but this is likely a fictional embellishment. In reality, it was probably built on land near the harbor, visible from afar as a symbol of protection and prosperity. The construction of the Colossus symbolized victory, not just because of its massive scale, but also due to its profound symbolism. It was more than a monument to Helios. It embodied the unity, pride, and strength of a city that had withstood a powerful enemy. The entire society participated in the project, from selling war spoils to helping with construction. Citizens were not just erecting a statue, they were creating a symbol of their resilience and independence. Each contribution strengthened community spirit and mutual support. The idea of offering the Colossus to Helios reflected the Rhodians' faith in divine justice. They believed their victory was a result of righteous living. The statue served as a visible reminder that even the most powerful foes could be overcome with determination and faith. Its location was chosen to greet incoming ships and impress traders and travelers.
the statue looked out over the sea, sending a clear message. Rhodes was unconquerable. Although the Colossus became a symbol of triumph and power, its fate was tragic. It was toppled by one of the most destructive earthquakes of antiquity, around 2 centuries before the Common Era. According to ancient sources, massive fragments of the statue were scattered across the island. Even in ruins, it continued to awe visitors. Pliny the Elder wrote that many travelers came to Rhodes just to see the remains of this colossal statue. After the earthquake, the people of Rhodes consulted the oracle at Delphi for guidance. The oracle advised leaving the statue in ruins, interpreting the disaster as a sign from the gods. The Rhodians followed this advice, and the remains lay undisturbed for centuries. They stayed in place until the Arab conquest of Rhodes in the 6th century CE. According to chronicles, the fragments were dismantled and sold as scrap metal. Legend has it that it took 900 camels to transport the remains. Despite its destruction, the legacy of the Colossus lived on. It remained a symbol of courage, unity, and inspiration for both ancient and later generations. The Colossus of Rhodes became the archetype for monumental statues and inspired many later sculptures, including the famous Statue of Liberty in New York. After the Colossus of Rhodes, a symbol of power and unity, we now move to Egypt, where the lighthouse of Alexandria once stood on the island of Pharos. This wonder was not only a marvel of craftsmanship, but also served a crucial practical purpose, becoming one of the most important navigational structures of the ancient world. The Lighthouse of Alexandria was built during the reign of Ptolemy II Philadelphus. The city, founded by Alexander the Great, quickly became a major hub of international trade. Its harbor, protected by the island of Pharos, welcomed ships from across the known world. However, underwater rocks and shallow waters made navigation dangerous. The need for a lighthouse was driven by the desire to ensure maritime safety and to cement Alexandria's role as the leading seaport. The lighthouse became a symbol of technological progress and the ambitions of the Hellenistic era. Its height surpassed that of most structures of its time, making it the first lighthouse of such scale. It reflected sunlight using a metallic mirror, and at night, a large fire was lit at its top, maintained by a dedicated staff. For sailors, the lighthouse was a guiding star, saving them from maritime hazards. Many ancient authors praised its operation and described how it helped ships safely reach port even in storms. The lighthouse also played a role beyond navigation. It reinforced Alexandria's status as a center of trade, culture, and knowledge. Its light symbolically welcomed all who approached, proclaiming the city as the heart of the world. It also symbolized the power and wealth of the Ptolemaic rulers. The structure was a testament to their ability to blend engineering achievement with their ambition to lead the Hellenistic world. The lighthouse attracted not only traders, but also scholars, travelers, and artists who marveled at its majesty. It was more than just an engineering feat. It was a true architectural and technological masterpiece that influenced construction for centuries. Its design included innovative features that allowed it to serve its purpose and withstand natural disasters. It was built using large blocks of light-colored limestone, making it visible from great distances. These blocks were fastened using lead clamps, which gave the structure resilience against earthquakes. This technique allowed the blocks to shift slightly during tremors, preventing collapse. The lighthouse had 3 levels, each serving a specific purpose.
The base was a massive square foundation ensuring stability. The middle level was an octagonal tower to reduce wind resistance and evenly distribute weight. The top was a cylindrical tower with a platform where the fire burned. This design gave the lighthouse elegance and stability over time. One of its most remarkable technological features was the mirror used to reflect sunlight. The polished metallic surface allowed beams of light to be directed across vast distances. At night, a fire was lit, and its light was amplified using the mirror. This was one of the earliest examples of reflective technology in architecture. The lighthouse's longevity was due not only to high-quality materials and engineering, but also to its symbolic importance for the Ptolemies. It was built with the best resources of the time to serve as both a functional structure and a symbol of power.
The idea of offering the Colossus to Helios reflected the Rhodians' faith in divine justice. They believed their victory was a result of righteous living. The statue served as a visible reminder that even the most powerful foes could be overcome with determination and faith. Its location was chosen to greet incoming ships and impress traders and travelers. The statue looked out over the sea, sending a clear message: Rhodes was unconquerable. Although the Colossus became a symbol of triumph and power, its fate was tragic. It was toppled by one of the most destructive earthquakes of antiquity, around 2 centuries before the Common Era. According to ancient sources, massive fragments of the statue were scattered across the island. Even in ruins, it continued to awe visitors. Pliny the Elder wrote that many travelers came to Rhodes just to see the remains of this colossal statue. After the earthquake, the people of Rhodes consulted the oracle at Delphi for guidance. The oracle advised leaving the statue in ruins, interpreting the disaster as a sign from the gods. The Rhodians followed this advice, and the remains lay undisturbed for centuries. They stayed in place until the Arab conquest of Rhodes in the 6th century CE. According to chronicles, the fragments were dismantled and sold as scrap metal. Legend has it that it took 900 camels to transport the remains. Despite its destruction, the legacy of the Colossus lived on. It remained a symbol of courage, unity, and inspiration for both ancient and later generations. The Colossus of Rhodes became the archetype for monumental statues and inspired many later sculptures, including the famous Statue of Liberty in New York. After the Colossus of Rhodes, a symbol of power and unity, we now move to Egypt, where the lighthouse of Alexandria once stood on the island of Pharos. This wonder was not only a marvel of craftsmanship, but also served a crucial practical purpose, becoming one of the most important navigational structures of the ancient world. The Lighthouse of Alexandria was built during the reign of Ptolemy II Philadelphus. The city, founded by Alexander the Great, quickly became a major hub of international trade. Its harbor, protected by the island of Pharos, welcomed ships from across the known world. However, underwater rocks and shallow waters made navigation dangerous. The need for a lighthouse was driven by the desire to ensure maritime safety and to cement Alexandria's role as the leading seaport. The lighthouse became a symbol of technological progress and the ambitions of the Hellenistic era. Its height surpassed that of most structures of its time, making it the first lighthouse of such scale. It reflected sunlight using a metallic mirror, and at night a large fire was lit at its top, maintained by a dedicated staff. For sailors, the lighthouse was a guiding star, saving them from maritime hazards. Many ancient authors praised its operation and described how it helped ships safely reach port, even in storms. The lighthouse also played a role beyond navigation. It reinforced Alexandria's status as a center of trade, culture, and knowledge. Its light symbolically welcomed all who approached, proclaiming the city as the heart of the world. It also symbolized the power and wealth of the Ptolemaic rulers. The structure was a testament to their ability to blend engineering achievement with their ambition to lead the Hellenistic world. The lighthouse attracted not only traders, but also scholars, travelers, and artists who marveled at its majesty. It was more than just an engineering feat. It was a true architectural and technological masterpiece that influenced construction for centuries. Its design included innovative features that allowed it to serve its purpose and withstand natural disasters. It was built using large blocks of light-colored limestone, making it visible from great distances. These blocks were fastened using lead clamps, which gave the structure resilience against earthquakes. This technique allowed the blocks to shift slightly during tremors, preventing collapse. The lighthouse had 3 levels, each serving a specific purpose. The base was a massive square foundation ensuring stability. The middle level was an octagonal tower to reduce wind resistance and evenly distribute weight. The top was a cylindrical tower with a platform where the fire burned. This design gave the lighthouse elegance and stability over time. One of its most remarkable technological features was the mirror used to reflect sunlight. The polished metallic surface allowed beams of light to be directed across vast distances. At night, a fire was lit, and its light was amplified using the mirror. This was one of the earliest examples of reflective technology in architecture. The lighthouse's longevity was due not only to high-quality materials and engineering, but also to its symbolic importance for the Ptolemies. It was built with the best resources of the time to serve as both a functional structure and a symbol of power. Nevertheless, even this could not protect.
Off the coast of ancient Alexandria, rising from the small island of Pharos, once stood a towering beacon that guided sailors from across the Mediterranean. The Lighthouse of Alexandria, often simply called the Pharos, was more than a marvel of engineering. It was a symbol of Egypt's prestige and a testament to the ambitions of the Hellenistic world. Constructed under the reign of Ptolemy II Philadelphus around the 3rd century BCE, the lighthouse remained one of the tallest structures of the ancient world, reaching heights estimated between 100 and 130 meters. Its design was striking. The base was square and solid, forming the foundation upon which the rest of the structure rose. Above it stood an octagonal midsection, a form that allowed both aesthetic beauty and practical resistance to the wind. The top was cylindrical, housing the fire whose light, reflected by polished bronze mirrors, could be seen for miles out at sea. Some legends say the mirrors were so powerful that they could set enemy ships on fire, though this is likely more myth than fact. Nonetheless, the system of fire and reflection marked a major innovation in maritime safety. Inside, a spiraling ramp allowed workers and animals to carry fuel and materials up to the top. The lighthouse was staffed continuously, and maintaining the fire was a crucial responsibility. This task would have been arduous and constant, a quiet labor behind the great glow that sailors depended on. Whether viewed from land or sea, the structure projected awe,
signaling to all that Alexandria was a city of knowledge, power, and immense architectural prowess. The man credited with its design, Sostratus of Cnidus, is said to have carved his name into the structure beneath a layer bearing the name of Ptolemy. This hidden inscription, only revealed later as the outer stone wore away, speaks to the desire for individual recognition even in a world where rulers often claimed full credit. Sostratus's design wasn't just beautiful, it was profoundly resilient. Built to withstand strong winds and minor quakes, it remained standing for centuries. Its cultural impact was immense. Not only did the word Pharos become a synonym for lighthouse in many languages, but the structure also influenced architectural forms across continents. Later Roman and Islamic lighthouses took inspiration from its multi-level design. Even minarets and some bell towers echo its tiered form. Ancient coins bore its image, and travelers wrote of its grandeur. It was one of the 7 wonders of the ancient world, not merely for its height, but for its symbolism and innovation. Over the centuries, the lighthouse suffered. Earthquakes in 796, 951, and 956 weakened it. The most destructive was in 1303 when a massive quake originating near Crete caused extensive damage. By the early 14th century, the once mighty beacon was largely in ruins. In 1477, Sultan Qaitbay built a fortress on the same site, using the fallen stones of the lighthouse. In this way, the Pharos lived on, its legacy embedded in the new structure that rose from its bones. But the story didn't end there. Divers in the 20th century began to explore the seabed around the island. In the 1990s, archaeologists led by Geneviève Emperor mapped out large blocks, columns, and statues submerged beneath the harbor. Many of these remnants likely came from the lighthouse. Some have been recovered and displayed, while others remain underwater, forming the foundation of what may someday become an underwater museum. The modern world still draws inspiration from the Pharos. Architects, artists, and engineers study its form and imagine what it must have looked like in its prime. Proposals have emerged over the years to rebuild it, not as an exact replica, but as a modern homage, part lighthouse, part monument, part museum. Whether or not such projects come to pass, the lighthouse continues to inspire dreams. It is rare for a building to hold so many roles at once: practical guide, political symbol, technological innovation, and cultural beacon. The Lighthouse of Alexandria was all of these. Its light may have gone out centuries ago, but its presence endures. Through language, through history, and through the stones that still lie just below the waves, the Pharos continues to shine. A beacon not just for sailors, but for all who look to the past to find inspiration for the future. The symbolic resonance of the Lighthouse of Alexandria goes beyond its physical structure. It stood at the intersection of worlds, Greek and Egyptian, ancient and emerging, terrestrial and celestial. It was a product of an era marked by cultural exchange, scientific progress, and imperial ambition. As much as it served the practical purpose of guiding ships, it also embodied the human drive to reach higher, to illuminate, and to endure. The harbor of Alexandria itself was a microcosm of the ancient world's complexity. Merchants, philosophers, soldiers, and travelers from far-off lands would disembark under the watchful gaze of the lighthouse. Its silhouette against the sky was the first and last image many had of Egypt's great port. To approach Alexandria was to approach knowledge. The famed library was nearby, and the city thrummed with scholarship, art, and innovation. The Pharos was both a literal and figurative gateway into this vibrant world. Writers and poets over the ages have imagined the lighthouse in vivid terms. Some romanticized it as a mystical pillar connecting earth and sky. Others saw it as a symbol of order in the chaos of the sea. As with many ancient wonders, the Pharos was as much a canvas for imagination as it was a physical structure. It fed the minds of those who never saw it firsthand and left a lasting impression on those who did. In today's world, where satellites and digital navigation systems guide ships across oceans, the idea of a firelit tower leading the way may seem quaint. Yet the essence of the lighthouse endures. It represents guidance, constancy, and hope, qualities that remain as vital now as they were 2 millennia ago. For historians, the Pharos serves as a lens into the architectural practices, political ambitions, and daily life of the Hellenistic period. For artists and dreamers, it remains an icon of light and vision. Efforts to preserve and celebrate its memory continue. Exhibitions, digital reconstructions, documentaries, and academic papers all contribute to the modern rediscovery of the Pharos. Every stone mapped on the seabed brings us closer to understanding how it was built, what it looked like, and what it meant. It reminds us that even in ruins, history can speak powerfully, echoing through time with stories of ingenuity, resilience, and splendor. If the ancient world had a skyline, the Lighthouse of Alexandria would be one of its proudest features. It stood for centuries as a triumph of human will and creativity. Though battered by time and nature, its story remains intact, told in fragments of marble, in the lines of ancient texts, and in the language of modern aspirations. The Pharos endures not just as a ruin, but as a radiant symbol of what civilizations can achieve. Even in its absence, the Lighthouse of Alexandria has left an indelible mark on human consciousness. Its very image, graceful, towering, resolute, has become a metaphor for guidance and enlightenment. Across cultures and centuries, artists and writers have turned to it not only as a subject of historical curiosity, but as a symbol of humanity's desire to reach out into the unknown, to bring order to chaos, to find light amid darkness. This symbolic power has made the lighthouse a recurring motif in literature, film, and philosophy. Poets have written of it as a lonely sentinel watching over stormy seas, a metaphor for isolation, but also for steadfastness. Historians cite it as an early example of how infrastructure and culture can intersect, creating monuments that serve both the practical needs of a civilization and its deepest ideals. Modern lighthouses, while shaped by different materials and technologies, still carry this dual legacy of utility and myth. The Pharos also represents a rare convergence of science and art. Its builders understood not only engineering, but also optics, wind patterns, and the psychology of travel. They knew what it meant to construct something visible across vast distances, something that could speak to both the body and the spirit. Its presence reminded every sailor of the safety of home, and every visitor that they were entering a city of extraordinary sophistication. As scholars continue to examine its legacy, they uncover not just technical data or architectural blueprints, but clues to how ancient people understood their world. In ancient Alexandria, a city famed for its massive library and intellectual life, the lighthouse stood as an architectural sibling to the pursuit of knowledge. While the library held the collected wisdom of the world, the lighthouse projected Alexandria's presence outward, a beacon in every sense. In modern times, the site of the lighthouse has become a place of pilgrimage for those interested in history, archaeology, and maritime heritage. Although the fortress of Kate Bay now dominates the landscape, many visitors come not just to see the medieval fortifications, but to imagine what once stood there. Some stand on the stone walls looking out over the harbor and picture the original structure reaching into the sky, its fire blazing through the night. For them, the site is haunted not by ghosts, but by greatness. digital reconstructions have helped bring the Pharos back to life in the public imagination. Using 3D modeling, scholars and enthusiasts have created visualizations that attempt to capture its original appearance. These reconstructions are not just academic exercises, they are acts of cultural memory, efforts to bridge the vast gap between what was and what is. They serve as reminders that the past is never entirely lost. It simply waits to be As modern science pushes deeper into our understanding of ancient architecture, the Lighthouse of Alexandria serves as a case study in the ingenuity of early engineering. Its construction would have required a deep understanding of materials, how to stack and interlock massive stone blocks in a way that could bear immense weight, resist the pull of earthquakes, and endure centuries of wind and salt. Historians believe limestone and granite were used, materials sourced from local quarries but hauled and cut with immense labor. This practical mastery of logistics and mechanics reflects a society with not only the means, but the organizational sophistication to plan and complete such a project. The process of building the lighthouse likely took years and employed countless workers, stonemasons, engineers, artists, laborers, and even philosophers who would have consulted on design. In Hellenistic society, especially in a capital like Alexandria, the line between art and function was fluid. A structure like the Pharos had to embody excellence in both. It had to work, and it had to inspire. It had to be seen from far away, but also be admired up close. And admired it was. Travelers from all over the ancient world visited Alexandria, and many wrote of the lighthouse with awe. The mere mention of the Pharos was enough to conjure an image of Alexandria's might. It became more than a physical structure. It became a brand, a monument to identity. Like the Parthenon in Athens or the pyramids at Giza, it told anyone who saw it that this was a place of significance. But what may be most remarkable is the way the lighthouse continued to evolve in meaning even after it had physically disappeared. In medieval times, the memory of the lighthouse was kept alive through stories and drawings passed down in manuscripts. Arab geographers and sailors preserved accounts of it, sometimes blending fact and legend, but always with a sense of reverence. For them, as for the Greeks before them, the Pharos symbolized the perfect balance between practicality and wonder. This evolving myth also shaped European and Islamic lighthouse building for centuries. Structures like the Giralda in Seville and the Tower of Hercules in Spain bear echoes of the Pharos' layered design. In the Islamic world, minarets began to echo the tiered structure of the lighthouse, not as copies, but as tributes to a recognized architectural lineage. Even the word minaret may carry distant ties to this tradition, derived from the idea of something that projects light or guidance. In today's world, where satellite... Even now, the submerged remains of the Lighthouse of Alexandria are a source of fascination, not only for historians and archaeologists, but also for artists, writers, and philosophers. Divers who descend into the waters near Fort Kite are not just encountering ancient stone, they are entering a dialogue with time itself. The broken columns and massive foundation blocks rest quietly beneath the waves, holding stories that are partly known and partly imagined. Some divers report a profound sense of awe as though the seafloor is sacred ground, a place where the ancient world breathes in silence. These underwater ruins have become an accidental museum, one not bound by walls or climate control, but by currents and shadows. And while this limits accessibility, it also enhances the mystique. There is something poetic about the fact that a structure built to illuminate the sea now sleeps within it. The irony is poignant and fitting. Light submerged in darkness, memory preserved in erosion. In recent years, proposals have been made to create an underwater archaeological park around the ruins. Such a project would allow visitors to walk along transparent tunnels beneath the water, viewing the remnants without disturbing them. This blending of preservation and innovation echoes the spirit of the original lighthouse. Just as the Pharos once stood at the edge of the known world, inviting exploration, its rebirth as a modern museum could once again draw people to the borderlands between history and discovery. But the story of the lighthouse is not just about stone and architecture. It is also about the human capacity for endurance and reinvention. Alexandria itself has risen and fallen many times. It has been conquered, rebuilt, and transformed. The city's skyline has changed, its demographics shifted, but the spirit of knowledge and cosmopolitan openness remains. And in this spirit, the lighthouse still casts its influence. Modern Alexandrians, aware of the legacy beneath their harbor, take pride in their city's ancient role as a crossroads of civilization. Schools teach about the Pharos not as a relic, but as part of a living heritage. Artists incorporate the lighthouse into their work, paintings, poems, installations, all paying tribute to a structure that, though gone, remains ever present. Even street murals and souvenir stalls reflect its image, stylized but recognizable. The great tower, the fire, the endless sea. Tourists who visit Fort Kite Bay today often don't realize they are standing on the bones of a wonder.